Hello, everyone. I'm Fozzie or Cam, and I'm here as always with my co-host Will. How are you doing today, Will?
I'm doing fantastic, Cam. How about you?
I'm doing great as well. We have a pretty breaking newsy type of day here. Just a lot of big stuff happening. Um, we got to talk about Giannis Antetokounmpo going to the Miami Heat for Tyler Hero, and some other little things there as well, which we'll dive into more. We have to talk about the Spider-Man Brand New Day trailer that just dropped, which I think we both have some interesting thoughts on. Um, we also have to talk about the film Obsession, which I got the chance to watch last night and loved it quite a bit. I mean, the whole story behind it's fascinating, so we'll touch on that. And we have some food content as well to talk about. Some of our favorite places we've been as of late. If you'll remember last episode, we talked about fast food restaurants that we've been liking. So this is sort of a follow-up to that, and something I hope to continue talking about, just food content here on the channel. So yeah, I look forward to talking about that more in the future. Um, but with that, right off the bat, well, are you okay with the honest trade? Who do you think is benefiting the most from this trade?
Well, even though I don't expect the Milwaukee Bucks to be uh competing for championships anytime soon after losing Giannis, I
Sure.
think I think both the Heat and the Bucks benefit from the trade from this standpoint. I don't expect the Heat to necessarily be winning the championship anytime soon either because they're going to have Giannis and they're going to have Bam Adebayo, but it does seem like they're going to have to round out the rest of their roster aside from those two players before morphing into a true title contender for as good as Giannis and Bam Adebayo are. But it still is a major signing for the Heat, getting somebody of Giannis's level. He is injury prone, which is a problem, but we know how good he can be at his best. So the Heat are definitely, even if I am not going to be picking them to win the championship this next season, they are obviously better now that they have Giannis. And in terms of the Bucks, even though it hurts them from the standpoint of they don't have somebody at the Giannis caliber on their team anymore, I think this is beneficial for them too because I think the whole Giannis saga was just dragging down the whole morale of the team. I mean, who wants to be teammates with a guy who doesn't want to be there? It was very
Yeah.
clear that
I
Giannis
don't
did
know if
not want to
you
be there. Yeah.
I don't know if you listened to the Doc Rivers episode or most recent episode of Doc Rivers on Bill Simmons' podcast. Um, he kind of touched on that locker room experience, saying that he talked to Giannis every day, but there were always these rumors circulating, and he essentially just said it was, all difficult to deal with. You don't really have clarity what's going on. You don't know what he wants fully, so it was that made it difficult for Doc, based off what he said.
Yeah, I think that's a very noteworthy thing for Doc Rivers to say. And yeah, I just think even if the Bucks are worse off from a talent standpoint, they're not as good of a team without Giannis being there. I think this massively positively benefits the Bucks from a culture standpoint because I think it was just time for Giannis to go. I mean, if he doesn't want to be there, that makes it really challenging on all of his teammates because who wants to play for a guy who doesn't want to be there anymore? So, I mean, I don't, as I said, I don't think the Heat, are going to win the championship next season, but I think there's positives that both teams can take from this. The positive for the Heat is that they're better now than they were before they got Giannis. They will be relevant next season. And then the Bucks, even if they're not going to be winning a championship anytime soon, at least their team culture can get better because there's no longer going to have to be the elephant in the room of a guy on the team who clearly wants to not be on the team anymore.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, it's difficult to deal with. I can't imagine having to go into the locker room as a teammate of Giannis and hear rumors about him wanting to leave this team, but him also playing for the team. It's just a weird dynamic. Um, but honestly, I'm gonna spend most of my time talking about this trade in regards to the Celtics, which is,
Yeah.
in my opinion, I think we dodged a little bit of a bullet. Um, I don't want to lose Jaylen Brown particularly because he just had his best season yet. How are you going to trade someone after they've had their best season yet, and the person you're going to acquire is coming off a brutally injured season full of drama and annoying issues and problems that I just don't want to have to deal with. Sure, JB's annoying in his own right, but like as a player, he's undeniable. He balled out last season. So I don't think maybe trading for Giannis in the second half of his career would we even say? I don't think that's worth it to me at all, especially because you'd be trading draft picks as well. Um, I'm glad that that didn't pan out for the Celtics. I hope it doesn't affect team morale, the fact that that trade was even put out there. Um, but I do hope we make some moves. I've been hearing stuff about Derek White possibly getting shuffled around. Um, I love Derek White as a Celtic, but I mean, he didn't perform as well as he should have, especially in those playoffs this year. But overall, I mean, if you look at his shooting percentage, it was down. Um, so that could be interesting, you know. More up my alley than a Giannis Jaylen Brown trade, which I am thrilled didn't happen. Dodged a bullet there. I've been a hater of that trade for a minute now, and I'm interested to see what happens with the Heat. The Bucks are going to be, I think, awful this year. I'm not confident in them at all. I mean, Tyler Hero is good, but he's not going to change the game like Giannis might for the Heat. But what people have been saying is like, who's gonna play point guard for the Heat? They don't have like a large depth of guards at the moment, which is interesting to me because what are they gonna do in the offseason to deal with that, you know? So you know, definitely piques my interest for sure to see what happens with the Heat this year. Uh, you know, it'll be something I'd like to see if Giannis gets hurt again this year. That would be a real bummer for the those Miami Heat fans. But nonetheless, it'll definitely be cool to see how it all pans out. And speaking of seeing how it all pans out, we got to see how the new Spider-Man Brand New Day story is sort of gonna pan out in this new trailer that dropped the other day. Um, I liked the trailer to a point. Will, though, I think you have different thoughts than I do on this trailer. Maybe even very different thoughts.
Yeah, so I mean, what I'm hoping for is I'm hoping that this can be a case of Stranger Things season 5 where I don't feel the trailers are representative of how good the movie or show actually is, cuz aside from the date announcement teaser that came out for Stranger Things season 5, I don't think any of the other trailers that came out for that season were representative of how good the episodes actually were. But I was able to kind of acknowledge, okay, the trailers probably weren't anything special because they're probably assuming, the fans have already seen the show, they're going to watch it whether the trailers are great or not. And we're just going to try and not give, too much away or not show like the super emotional, scenes in the trailers because we'll want to, save them for the show itself. So I'm hoping that that could be the case of what this is with Spider-Man Brand New Day, and maybe the reason that that last trailer was so kind of, fast-paced with so much going on, and it didn't kind of have like the heart-to-heart character moments or the emotional or dramatic scenes is because they're trying to not show those in the trailer so that they can be a surprise in the actual movie. So I'm hoping that it might be a case of that, and that this is actually
I hope.
one of the rare examples to where the trailer is not representative of how good the movie actually is. But for now at least, this movie remains in the gotta prove it to me category
Really? Okay.
for these reasons that this most recent trailer sadly just completely reinforced for me. Now let me say this. If this movie had a whole bunch of characters but John Watts was directing it, I wouldn't really have a problem because Spider-Man No Way Home proved that John Watts could be handed a large ensemble of characters and do a spectacular job navigating them all. So if John Watts was directing a Spider-Man movie with this many characters, I wouldn't be that concerned. But since we have a new director who is not John Watts, he's going to have to prove to me that
New,
he can.
new, new, not, I wouldn't, I have to disagree. I don't
New,
think,
maybe not new to Marvel, but new to Spider-Man and new to directing a Marvel movie with an ensemble this big.
I guess to a point, but you have to look at Shang-Chi was big. It brought back the Mandarin. I mean, and then he went on to do, I believe it was Wonder Man. He ended up
Yep.
working on as well, which both are very highly regarded projects. One of them is a big budget action adventure with crazy big stunts, big fight scenes. Abomination is in it. I mean, end credit scenes feature Bruce Banner. I mean, like a lot of stuff goes down in this movie that make me confident in his ability to direct a Spider-Man. So my fears, personally, they don't lie with him, but I do understand what you're saying to a point.
Yeah, I mean, that makes sense, and I can understand what you're saying. Like Shang-Chi is definitely a good Marvel movie. I
Oh yeah,
enjoyed that film. So he has definitely proven that he can direct a good Marvel movie.
and never
My good,
mind
yeah.
that he directed Just Mercy as well, the Michael B. Jordan film.
Oh, did he? And that film, I think, is great. I
I do
think that
too.
is I think that is a great movie. So that is good to know. So that I mean that definitely does give me more faith. But I'm still gonna put that concern of mine out there just because I don't think I've seen him direct a movie with quite this big of an ensemble of characters to have to deal with Peter and Ned and MJ and the Punisher and the Hulk and Scorpion and the Hand and Sadie Sigg's character. I mean that is a lot of characters to have to manage in one film. And then the other thing for me is I did think, I was happy with how Frank Castle slash the Punisher looked in
Yeah.
this last trailer from the standpoint of he looked in character enough to me, which I was happy about. Because I was just not a fan at all of taking R-rated Punisher slash Frank Castle and putting him into a PG-13 Spider-Man movie. So in this last trailer, I thought he looked in character enough, which I was happy about, but I'm still gonna have to see the movie prove it to me that putting R-rated Frank Castle in a PG-13 Spider-Man film, especially after the Punisher special that came out earlier this year, which is arguably the most violent Marvel project I've ever seen. It was just violence to another level. And taking that character and putting him in a PG-13 Spider-Man film, I'm still gonna have to actually see it to believe that it'll actually work.
Yeah, for sure. I mean, I understand what you're saying there, and I feel like we've kind of seen stuff like this before. Like I don't know, Daredevil, not Daredevil, Deadpool in the Disney Marvel universe. So they've definitely had to deal with stuff like this before. I could see them using their one PG-13 F-bomb on a Frank Castle scene. That could be fun. Or maybe not. But like you said, he seems to be looking like the same old Punisher. But did you enjoy Punisher the last kill, right?
Yeah, it was called the Punisher One Last Kill. Yeah. Here's what I would say about it. Did it hold my attention the whole way through? 100% it did. Were there aspects of it that I enjoyed? 100%. But I would say the special on the whole was a reminder to me of why I enjoy seeing Frank Castle more in the Daredevil world than on his own. And I say that because I feel like Frank Castle on his own is kind of a formulaic, gonna go out and kill people and get revenge character. I feel like he's more of a formulaic character on his own, but then when he's put in Daredevil, and I thought Daredevil Born Again season 1 did a beautiful job showing the contrast between the Punisher style of killing all bad guys and evil people, but then Daredevil or Matt Murdock style of he will brutally beat up bad guys and evil people, but he won't kill them. He has a no-kill policy. And Daredevil Born Again season 1 has some scenes where you see Frank Castle and Matt Murdock going head to head and really arguing with each other about their philosophy. So I feel like Frank Castle feels a little formulaic on his own, but then when you put him in Daredevil and compare and contrast him to Matt Murdock, I think it's a really riveting dynamic to see. And then I would say another thing for me is the special was only 50 minutes.
Yeah.
And I feel like when you're used to seeing Frank Castle in a show and multiple seasons of a show format, I just think there's only so much you can do and only so fulfilled you can feel by a Punisher special that's only 50 minutes long when you're used to seeing Frank Castle in multiple episodes of a show. And that's something, I like obviously I would have so much preferred a Mandalorian fourth season over the Mandalorian and Grogu movie, but one edge I do think that movie has over the Punisher special is that the the Punisher special took a character who had 2 seasons of a show and brought him down to a special that was only 50 minutes long, whereas The Mandalorian and Grogu, even if it's not a great film, at least it was 2 hours long. So you get a lot more time with them than you do with Frank Castle in this special. So did I think there were good aspects to the special? Absolutely. Did it hold my attention the whole way through? It did. But ultimately, it reminded me of why I would have preferred to see him in Daredevil Born Again season 2 instead of Spider-Man Brand New Day and that special.
Yeah, for sure. I get what you're saying. And the length is weird. I mean, I feel like most fans would prefer another season, like a Born Again but for the Punisher show or a movie or maybe I don't know. It can still be a special, but it can be a little longer. But it seemed that what's his name who plays the Punisher
John Bernthal.
yeah, John Bernthal seemed to be very involved in the project, which is always good to see. I know how much he cares about this character, so clearly he felt like it was the right thing to do with the character Punisher. So, from that standpoint, I guess I can kind of see where they're coming from in deciding to make it the length that they did. But for me, for Spider-Man, now I want to really break down this, is I like the trailer. I think it's proved it to me. Obviously, always a little worried going into a Marvel movie after seeing a trailer that I like because, as me and you both know, Marvel trailers can be comically misleading. Examples: Thor: Love and Thunder, Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania, and I mean, I guess the Marvels was a little bit misleading because they said that it was a good movie, but in reality, it was terrible. Um, this hope I doubt this is going to be like that, but I mean, there are a lot of good things about it from what I'm seeing. Well, I mean, the visual effects in some shots were a little shaky, but that'll be fixed hopefully by the time the movie comes out, and because they usually don't use final VFX shots in trailers. But that being said, I was still blown away with a lot of the creativity and a lot of the unique shots that were used. And it really feels like there's a new storyteller here, and Destin Daniel Cretton or Cretin or whatever, instead of John Watts, which I love when directors have their own voice, and you can tell. One thing John Watts lacked was his own flair, his own style. And it's clear that Destin Daniel Cretton has that. He has the sauce. He has something that makes him unique, which is something I look for in a director, especially with a Marvel movie, because it's something we don't really get often. I mean, James Gunn has his own style. I mean, who else? You got Taika Waititi with his own style, which doesn't even work half of the time. And then you got Sam Raimi, who's directed one movie, and a lot of people didn't like the movie, and they really didn't let him go all out. So it's big for me when a director is kind of allowed to flex and show off a little bit and try new things. Um, the story piques my interest big time. I don't know how I feel about Ned and MJ returning in this, but it's clear from the trailer that they're doing it for a reason, and that they have good ideas with what they're gonna do with those characters, because they could have easily just not included them and it wouldn't have been a question. No one would have questioned it. It would have worked totally fine based off the last movie. But as cool as it is to see these characters back, it does take a little bit of the weight away from the last movie, just because now we know that they're gonna probably be best friends again. Um, those three. So, that's interesting to see for sure. But I have faith in them. I mean, Destin Daniel Cretton directed Just Mercy, which is one of the greatest movies of the 2010s, I believe. I mean, it's a phenomenal movie. Will, you can attest to that. It's
Absolutely. It's fantastic.
truly fantastic. Um, the Hulk stuff looks interesting. It seems a bit like a selling point for the movie for the masses, but still cool to see Hulk back in his regular form, which is something I didn't think we'd ever see again from Mark Ruffalo's Hulk. But there he is, full Hulk form, doing the Hulk clap and stuff. So that's cool to me. I am definitely interested to see the villain performance here. I like that it's going to probably have a montage full of villains like Scorpion and such. That's cool to me. I like the concept of Peter kind of losing control of his powers in a way, or his powers even evolving a little bit. That's creative, and it feels like such a Spider-Man story, while also feeling different from the three Spider-Man stories that came before it. Uh, this feels like it could end up being a contained street level-ish story, or they could go big with it. I'd be fine with either, no matter what. I'm definitely in tune to see how this movie turns out. I'm hoping it's great. I'm a big Spider-Man guy, as is most of the world, and I hope they really get this right with the new direction and all. Um, but I do have faith. Right now, it's not in prove it to me territory. It's in I'm pretty much on board territory for me. And you know what else I was on board with, Will, is the movie Obsession, which I saw last night. And Will, oh my goodness, whenever I think about this movie, now I get a little bit horrified because it's a horror movie and it was a scary one at that. Um, I was jumping. I was jumping in my seat more than I usually do for horror movies. It was a scary watch. And one more thing about my theater experience. This was like its fourth week in my local theater. Uh, Theater was packed. Well, and that's where the fun comes in here. This movie had a really small budget of seemingly around $500,000. It's made like $300 million.
Wow. Wow.
Insane work. Small budget, small cast, no big names except for Andy Richter, I guess. But that's not even like a household name. Curry Barker stemming from his fame on YouTube, and I still don't really know what he does on YouTube, but I know that he's a YouTube guy or whatever, and that's amazing. And we're starting to see a little bit of a crossover from guys like from YouTube, like the Philip Howe brothers who did Talk to Me recently ish in 2023. Those guys did visual effects, stunt videos, whatever on YouTube, and then they directed a feature-length horror film and got it picked up by A24, and it was awesome. It was phenomenal. And they just made another movie last year, I believe, called Bring Her Back, which was another horror movie. So it seems like a trend for these horror YouTube directors to make just good movies. That seems like what's happening. But yeah, Will, I mean, I know you're not a huge scary movie guy, but this blew me away simply just because of how innovative it is. It uses scare tactics that utilize everything around them. It's just brilliant, and it's really a modern horror movie. It skips over your classic Conjuring type jump scares in favor of real dread and fear. There were scenes that really gave me chills. For example, the party scene was horrifying, when she switches back for a minute with the bottle. If you know, you know. That scene is terrifying. I got chills. I didn't really understand what was happening, and that scene just caught me off guard big time, and I was blown away though. I thought this movie was phenomenal. I thought it was original. I really thought it was a genius horror movie from Curry Barker, and you got this from Curry Barker, and then you also have Backrooms from Kane Pixels, who is also from YouTube. But yeah, and K-Pix is also only 20 years old as well. So horror and I guess film right now seems to be in a good spot. It has two movies out right now, which are very original, creative, made on small budgets, making a lot of money. Um, I am thrilled about this. I mean, my local theater already kicked Star Wars, Mandalorian, and Grogu out of the spot, and replaced it with, I believe, other movies that are probably weren't expected to kick out a Star Wars movie out of my local theater. So that's always fun to see. And yeah, I mean, even if you don't love horror movies, and this movie is horrifying, it made $300 million for a reason. It's a great film. It's an original film, and I was really happy with it, for me at least. You know what else I was really happy with though? Well, today, a funny little story here. I got to go to the beach. Now, the beach is something I enjoy sometimes. Mostly, yes, I enjoy the beach, but sometimes I don't. In this particular instance, I did enjoy the beach. Um, if I don't, it's usually due to the sand, the salt water. It just messes me up. I mean, I get hot. My clothes are covered in sand. My beach chair gets covered in sand. And it really ruins my day a little bit when that happens. None of that happened today. It was pristine conditions. The water, while chilly, was lovely because we were sitting in the scorching hot sun, and it was a truly magnificent beach day. I mean, no seaweed, not a huge amount of people, it being a weekday and all. I mean, everything I could have asked for. No clouds in the sky, music blasting. You have your classic country and yacht rock for the beach. It was perfect. But you know what made it better? About halfway through my day at the beach, I think to myself, we need food. So we walk. Leave our stuff, walk past a food cart, which is in front of the beach path. Look at it. Ooh, it's kind of expensive. And maybe the food's not even that good. So we keep walking. We stumble upon this deli, which was also a convenience store at the same time. And it was about a 3 minute, maybe 5 minute walk from the beach, kind of hidden on a little side street. We go enter. The smell of cooking and seasoning and deliciousness floods my face, and it's just pristine. You walk in, you look around, there's a bunch of local candies and snacks that are there while also having your, traditional convenience store snacks. And on the other side of this store is a deli where you could where you could get sandwiches prepared, hot, cold, deli meats, everything, meatball subs, whatever, all you wanted. It had all the sandwiches you could want. Um, Me personally, I got a chicken cutlet, chicken bacon ranch sandwich, and it was delicious. My friend got the buffalo chicken sandwich. It was phenomenal. Now, Will, is this a Michelin star restaurant? No, it's not. It's not a Michelin star restaurant. Is it as good as a Michelin star restaurant? Probably not. But why did I enjoy it more than most of the fancy restaurants I've been to as of late? Well, because of its location, because of the
Mhm.
charm, because of the real people behind the counter making their food, being delightful. I mean, I see a kid walks in, he says, "Hey, is there anywhere I can plug my phone?" Yeah, don't worry, you can plug it in over here. I got you. It's kindness like that. My friend asked what he should get, gave him a recommendation, you know. Um, ask questions. Do you want this on your sandwich? Do you want that? Um, very attentive to any allergies or whatever someone might be dealing with. And on top of that, it's in a charming location right by the water. That plus the taste of this delicious, made with love food, paired with some homemade lemonade, made this as good as any fancy restaurant I've been to ever, really. I mean, and that's where I think the central lesson of this story, the moral of the story, if you will, is vibes and feels and the situation at hand matter almost just as much as the taste of the food. So the purpose of this, we were talking about restaurants we've been to and like lately, but this is something I really wanted to talk about. And yeah, there are other restaurants I could too, but I have to give the shout. I wish I remember the name. I have to give a shout out to this just because of how hard they're working over there, how lovely of a concept it is, how local and homegrown it is, in the sense that everyone knows each other there. I walk in, there's an old man talking to someone at the counter like they've known each other for years. Seems to be just some local guy who's been going there forever, and it's beautiful to see. So that charming meal was what I got to have today, and it would be one of the best meals I've had as of late. But what about you, Will? How have you been eating as of late? Where have you been going?
Yeah, so there's one. First of all, I love hearing about that place that you went to today, and I will definitely have to uh, find a time to go check it out the next time that I'm out in Massachusetts because it sounds truly just spectacular. But one Mexican restaurant here in Napa that I've had the chance to go to a couple times recently is a place called Frida's Mexican Bar and Grill. And there's kind of different tiers um of food that I have. There's like great and then there's not really great, didn't really enjoy it that much. But then there could also be kind of middle tiers for me. And there's one tier that I have to where even if it's not quite at the elite level, it's good and like a really enjoyable good to where even if it's not quite at the elite level, it is like there's so much good in it that you walk out completely satisfied. And that is exactly what Frida's is to me. That is exactly the type of Mexican restaurant I think it is. There is a Mexican restaurant called Los Palmas here in Napa, which is literally the best food I have had in my entire life. I mean, the Mexican food
Really?
at Las Palmas is just it's so good. I almost can't even describe how good it is. I mean, whatever the chefs at that place got going, they just got the special sauce, in my opinion. So obviously, that is going to be hard to beat because that is just an elite cream of the crop place. The two experiences I've had at Frida's Mexican Bar and Grill here in Napa recently have just been fantastic. They're the quesadilla that I ordered there, which not only had cheese inside of it, but also had some steak inside of it too. Really added to the really delicious taste of it. The rice and beans that I got on the side were also good. And I feel like a place like Frida's just goes to show that even if you're not in like the great elite, like greatest of all time
Yep.
category, you can have Mexican food or food, and in this case, Mexican food, that is, even if it's not quite elite, but it's good and genuinely enjoyable good, and you walk out of there totally satisfied.
Yeah, I love a place like that where you can just go and know you're gonna get a good meal, and it doesn't have to be this elite, crazy Michelin star restaurant. That's big for me. I like the small, natural place that has the homemade, cared for food. That's what I love. But with that, thank you for watching this episode of the Everything Podcast. Again, more food content coming soon. But thank you all so much for watching, and we'll see you next time.